Hi everyone, welcome to the Corporate Venturing podcast of PwC Belgium. I am Birgit Everhard, manager at PwC Next Level, and I am here today to talk about an interesting case, a collaboration between PwC and a Belgian scale-up called Trensition. For this conversation, I invited the founder of Trensition, Vincent Defour. Welcome, Vincent.
Thank you.
And Matthias Koene, director at our assurance practice at PwC Belgium. Hi, Matthias.
Hi, Birgit.
Can you maybe shortly introduce yourselves? Maybe, Vincent, you can start?
Yeah, maybe really short. I'm the CEO. I'm also one of the founders of Trensition, the company behind the platform Trendtracker that we'll be elaborating a little bit more today. So let's keep it at that.
All right, thanks. Matthias?
I will be short as well. So Matthias Koene, I'm a director within risk assurance, focusing on organizational control, risk management and resilience. And of course, then the topic linked to transition.
Very nice. So let's talk about Trensition and the Trendtracker tool, Vincent, that you developed. What is Trendtracker? Can you explain a bit? What is the issue that you are trying to solve?
So Trendtracker in the core really is what we call an AI-powered intelligence platform. Strategic intelligence, risk intelligence, foresight intelligence, that are all kinds of keywords that resonate well with the key value proposition of what Trendtracker is trying to solve. So in essence, what it does, it's like an advanced AI strategy analyst that continuously scouts the external environment of companies to detect change, trends. It analyzes these trends in depth, focused on the context of those companies, and it delivers an extra level of intelligence, giving the companies recommendations on how to act with those trends. So in essence, the issue that we solve is really the world is changing fast. Companies are being disrupted. Every company today is struggling to stay on top of a fast changing world. And companies are looking for more decision intelligence platforms, AI platforms that can help them become more performant, more effective in doing this kind of research and analysis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, interesting. And how does the Trendtracker tool exactly help them? Like, what is the result that companies can expect of it?
Yeah, so any company today needs to know about what will impact me. That's always the first question that you get. If you look at external environment, what are the trends that potentially might impact these companies, whether it's two years from now, 5 years from now, or even further into the future? That's one thing that they need to know. But it's not all about knowing what is coming. It's also knowing about how to anticipate that change. So sifting through all kinds of knowledge, all kinds of insights, deriving insights from those noise and getting recommendations about, look, this is happening. This is what it means to me, and this is what I can do to stay relevant and competitive in the future. That's really what Trendtracker is all about.
Yeah, so I guess that you're not only focusing on let's say, innovation, R&D teams, but also really the strategic board member decision, like C-level management that you are trying to target here.
That's correct, yeah. Typically, the teams that we work with work below C-suite or boards. It's strategy teams, risk teams, innovation teams, all kinds of teams that have that external scouting responsibility and mapping that onto the internal strategies of companies.
Very interesting. Of course, we find it very interesting because we started a collaboration with Trendtracker. Maybe, Matthias, the next question is for you. How did PwC and Trensition meet?
That's actually a good question. I think, Vincent, you can elaborate as well on it because our collaboration goes way back in time from different channels. I can touch upon, of course, how we interacted. I think 2-3 years ago. In the meantime, we received a question from a client. Can you do a maturity assessment of our current risk management practice? And during the journey, you received the question, look guys, today this is very old-fashioned in a traditional way, having interviews with stakeholders. There is quite some bias then in that type of exercise. And of course, it's our job as a consultant to filter that bias. But fairly, they challenged and they raised the question, is there no continuous risk sensing and sort of horizon scanning tool out there, leveraging the data? And hence we did a market research and ended up with Trensition. The client was directly sold, to say, and really liked the platform. And then leveraging on that collaboration, we thought, it's interesting for our clients, but it can be interesting for us as well. Why not entering into a partnership between PwC and then Trensition itself? And you are a former alumni of our prior scale program, but maybe you can elaborate on that as well a bit, Vincent.
Yes, so indeed, our partnership or first contacts go way back, actually almost to the very beginning of the existence of Trensition, which is a little bit more than 5 years ago. So we have been talking and have been always had good conversations with the people at PwC at partner level and at analyst level. And also via that channel, we ended up in one of the scale-up programs, which was really high value for us to get access to certain parts of the market. So in that sense, the last couple of years, we're always connected to the PwC ecosystem and to the people here. We always have like the same kind of pragmatic look into how such a partnership could evolve. And indeed, at some point, Matthias contacted us. By coincidence, I think it was not linked to the fact that we were already quite connected here. And that was really the catalyst for the partnership that we have today.
Yeah, exactly. Very, very nice to see how it grew from a scale alumni to a strategic partner, actually, within the firm. Matthias, a question to you. What is the exact added value for PwC to collaborate with startups? And maybe you can then apply it to Trensition in particular.
Well, in essence, it's avoiding that we need to reinvent the wheel ourselves. And maybe a bit an anecdote, but I think 3-4 years before COVID, so we are talking about the time that AI was not yet a buzzword, we had our internal Dragon's Den exercise for innovation, and there I launched the idea of creating a sort of horizon scanning tool. Partnership was really in favor of, and I made it to the final round. But in the end, they decided maybe we have other priorities, and as little Belgium, maybe it's not our first thing to invest in. So I would say the added value is you have a dedicated focus on building such type of tooling. You have direct access then to funding, and you can connect in with a corporate environment like PwC to scale and to combine both worlds together. And I think that's going hand in hand, and that's the win-win and the collaboration between PwC and the Trensition.
Yeah. And talking about the buzzword AI, there are, of course, a lot of AI applications. How did we assess and benchmark Trensition in the markets, and how did we decide that Trensition was the right partner for us?
Yeah, well, I would say, referring back to the exercise in the time from that client question, we did some Google research on what is tooling out there in the market. We ended up with some internal tools from PwC and a couple of other tools in the market, including Trensition. That, let's say, was our long list. And full transparency, we shared that list with the client. We did a sort of demo session of a couple of tools, and then in the end, we decided, look, today, in terms of functionalities, in terms of look and feel, in terms of easiness of use, and then definitely looking at the roadmap ahead, I think it's continuously evolving. On one hand, the technology itself, but as well the capabilities of the tool, and looking at what is possible to embed on the very near future. I think this is definitely what we are looking for. It's a sort of co-pilot, to use that word, referring to Microsoft. This be really a virtual colleague that can help you in analyzing a vast amount of data in a very short period, and can bring you talking points to, in real life, have a discussion with your client. And then it's not only a PwC interpretation, but it's an objectivation based on external data. And I think that's the added value. And I think the way how the platform visualize the news, then in the radar dashboard, and then the AI analyst, is, I think, definitely easy to navigate.
Yeah. Vincent, we talked about added value for PwC. The partnership we have is double, actually. So we suggest Trensition to our clients, but we also work with the tool internally. How do you see this partnership? What does it mean for your company to collaborate with PwC, and where do you see the added value for your side?
There are a couple of let's say, big pillars where I see the added value. First of all, it's about a partnership where we are co-creating, where we're learning from each other. For us, it means learning about what are the workflows of advisory consultants, of risk consultants, etc. How do they advise their clients? What type of data do they typically look for? And for us, it's all about learning how these workflows can be automated so that in the end, we can support PwC even better with the platform at hand. That's the co-creation in terms of product innovation is really an interesting one. And the other way around, it's also in terms of commercial partnership where it really becomes interesting because, of course, PwC has access to the market, has credibility to the market. And by going jointly to that market, a joint offer where PwC can add a service line and Trendtracker can add the product capabilities and AI capabilities is, of course, also quite interesting for us. And then in terms of partnership, there are some benefits linked to that. I also believe in the future that PwC can equally do cross and upselling on top of our platform to basically provide other types of services leveraged by our technology.
Yeah. There's a very bright future for the partnership ahead then. Talking about how we use the tool internally, Matthias, can you maybe explain or give some concrete examples about how we apply the tool today?
Yeah, I would say there are a couple of use cases, but zooming in then on the internal aspect, a bit as Vincent was mentioning before. If we have a client meeting, if we are preparing for a proposal or for a client pitch, quite often you receive the question, what is out there? What should we be aware of and what should be on our radar? And again, leveraging then the capabilities of the tool, having easy access to the latest news, to the latest trends, and having as well even talking points and suggestions on what does that mean for me as a sector, what does that mean for me as an organization, and what type of actions I can take. And of course, the tool is not the holy grail. You need to interpret that, you need to use your own brain, but it can help to steer a conversation, and it is leveraging, it's a time saver, I would say that. Instead of spending before 2-3 days in market research, today in half an hour, you have already more output than before. And the most added value of that tool is as such, if you do that research last week, today the world is changing that fast that it's not relevant anymore. And it's real life, it's real life data. So you during a client meeting, you can open it and you can see the latest news, you can see the latest interpretations of certain things. And I think that is definitely a game changer and moving forward. You need to be in the forefront of what is happening. And then it's only possible leveraging on tooling because it's so much the data that is out there that is impossible to consume that in a manual way.
Yeah. I guess also that there is a difference between how we use the tool internally and how we then suggest our clients to use the tool. Can you maybe give an example about the difference or how we use it internally and then at the client side?
I would say it's a combination of, or it's for internal use, really for the preparing of a client meeting, preparing for a proposal, or we integrate the tooling in our client service delivery as such. It's in the backend, or it's really showcasing, demonstrating the tool in real life to the client. So I would say it's a bit hand in hand. And then the last final part is, of course, if the tool is so interesting for the client that they want to use it themselves on a day-to-day basis, so not only during our PwC engagement, then we are referring them directly to Trensition, and they can enter as well in a partnership with Trensition. So I think it's the combination of internal use, client delivery use, and then a continuous use by the client himself, but then outside or PwC collaboration, of course. And I think we are tool agnostic, but of course we have preferred partnerships that we are leveraging on. And depending on the client needs, we can share what is out there in the market. And look, guys, this is definitely something that is promising and is from Belgium. So that's as well nice to say.
Yeah. Maybe an extra question for you, Vincent. You were mentioning at PwC Belgium, you also have the partnership with PwC Belgium. Do you have also international clients? Because the tool, of course, can be used by any company in the world, I guess.
I think most of our clients are international clients, really industry agnostic. To name drop a few, in consumer goods, we work with PepsiCo, which is a huge US client. P&G, Procter & Gamble, Manulife, which is a big insurance company also from the US. We equally have clients spreading from Asia to the Middle East. And it's typically what we see international corporations that have that capability, that have those teams that need to stay on top of everything, right? And that want to do that in an efficient way. So looking for AI platforms to be able to do that. But yeah, in essence, this is really where we see that we can add most value in the same kind of corporations that typically a PwC would also advise.
Yeah. Of course, you're a relatively young company growing fast. It's nice to see. Are there any future developments that you can maybe spoiler alert here in the podcast or in the video that you can tell us about? What are you working on right now?
Yeah, I mean, we're working on a lot. I sometimes say I should have sold shoes instead of AI because it's evolving that fast pace that every day we need to think about what is beyond state of the art and how can we integrate the latest of AI in our platform yet. So I think in essence, how this platform is evolving is first of all, in a way where you can interact more with the platform, evolving from a typical, let's say, dashboard platform kind of way, where you can equally have conversations with the platform, whether it's prompting or voice agents or really acting as that virtual colleague that you can interact with if you want to deep dive on a couple of things. That's one thing. And then scaling the intelligence level of AI. AI, I don't have to tell you, is evolving at lightning speed. So we can integrate more intelligence level into that technology too. So meaning if you would maybe map it onto, let's say, the professional life of a consultant, let's say we're at a junior media level in terms of intelligence, we can scale it up the chain, going really to subject matter experts in different industries. So we see also this evolving into a much more intelligent way and tapping into the company information itself. So that's what comes out is really almost in tune with strategic recommendations of those companies. And I think that's, from a product innovation perspective, the two big shots that we are taking as we speak.
Yeah. Okay, really nice new features coming up. So interesting to see the developments going forward. Maybe a last question. Of course, Trendtracker can help PwC also track new innovations and trends that we might want to apply to our firm. How can Trendtracker contribute to the innovations that we as PwC might apply? Matthias, what do you think?
That's I would say on one hand a very broad question, but definitely an interesting question. Well, I would say on one hand the tool can definitely help us in scanning the market and in just doing the same type of analysis as we are doing for our clients on what is out there, what are relevant topics that should be on our radar as a consultant, and what are other companies already doing in that area or in that space. So it's bringing in that type of intelligence. And on the other hand, from my experience, AI, as I mentioned before, is a bit of a buzzword today. The platform is really demonstrating the capabilities of AI in real life and showcasing the dashboard, showcasing the platform towards a C-level. For me, or at least in my perception and experience over the last couple of months, that is really an eye-opener that they see, wow, this is working. Yeah. And it's one of the few tools that's really bringing added value in real life to your clients in line with the promise. So it's building and leveraging as well the credibility that we as PwC are at the forefront of what is happening there, and that we are able to tap into tooling that is possible to connect with our type of services. So it's building both innovation as well as the credibility and bring it to the market and bring it towards our clients for their benefit as well.
Yeah, and maybe from my point of view, where we are also into corporate venturing ourselves as PwC, it's also useful to use the tool as to stay ahead of the trends and see, and also guide our PwC teams in defining the right issues that we want to solve internally. So that's where I see the for my project with the venture clienting project at PwC, the most added value for Trendtracker.
It's one of the use cases that corporate venturing is a strategic action that companies can take if it fits in their strategic roadmaps. In that sense, it all starts with, again, what's changing in the world, how does that affect their strategies, and in the end, recommend what companies can do, whether it's product development, whether it's corporate venturing, whether it's M&A, whether it's all kinds of different actions that they can take linked to external change and the potential disruption that it might mean for those companies.
I hope we will have a long and fruitful partnership ahead of us, but I'm sure and convinced we do. Thank you also to the listeners and those who watched the video. I'm Birgit Everhart from PwC Next Level, and this was the latest episode of the Corporate Venturing podcast of PwC Belgium. Talk to you later. Bye.